Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 2 of the Evolution Racing Academy. My name is Stephen Koenig. Glad to have you guys here, and welcome to the Nürburgring. It's going to be an exciting time for our drivers to really push the mold of what they can do and who are they going to be going and guiding their way to the top. And it is going to be an exciting race nonetheless. Lots and lots of close side-by-side action is fully expected from all our drivers, and we're expecting drivers to have a little bit more of a tougher time. Well, for those that have tuned in for the very first time, ERA, we tend to go and teach as well as race. So, for tonight's racing ordeal, we will be going out to Nürburgring, this time in the wet. And after a 4-hour endurance race that happened last night here at ERA, hopefully all the drivers have now got themselves all warmed up and ready to go around, and hopefully got their weather boots on. It's going to be a tough time out there. It's going to be exciting. But let's take a look at some of our championship, because in Diamond, Christoph Peterson is leading out the pack with Ernest Lundbriggs in second place. Christian Goch in third. Keep an eye on Christian Goch. He's been really upping his pace during practice, getting closer and closer to the front end. Moving on to our Platinums, it's Martin Spritzer leading out the pack with Ben Hicks in second place. Tomorrow Mamali in third place, with Flo Scup running in fourth. Then we move on to our gold. Nicholas Cora, Liam Smith, and Nico Lawrence rounding out our pack. And they will be charging out towards the sharp end of the field. There is drop rounds. That's something to bear in mind for our race this evening and for the rest of the championship. But now, how's it going to work out, especially with these difficult times? So, Nürburgring, wet, difficult, and always a challenge, especially heading down into turn 1. It's got lots of people opening their eyes and saying, oh, this might be a little bit too close for comfort. On our timing tower, you will see the red blocks. That is our gold division that are incredibly quick. Don't take it away from them. They are some seriously quick drivers, and they're fitting into that license bracket just because their pace is slightly less. Then we move on to our platinums. Those are the silvers, and finally, the white background is our diamonds. So keep an eye out on that, because we've actually seen a lot of our gold drivers get into the mix of our diamonds. So bear that in mind. Nico Lawrence now out on the track as well, going and having a bit of fun. A couple of drivers to keep an eye out in practice right before we started the race was Paul Fenter getting second place right behind Christoph Peterson. So going and working out, the Hondas may have an advantage here, but we'll have to find out in due course. Unfortunately, one set of cars that's not going and doing well is the same as what Tomo is busy driving. That is the BMWs. They're not quite liking the curbs. Usually they can hammer it over the curbs. Unfortunately, now you want to stay right away because it is slick out there. It is pouring down with rain. It's not expecting to come and go away. You're going to expect this weather right the way through, solid puddles, and also a very, very difficult racing line. Best pull out those karting lines and ensure that you keep your brake markers a little bit further back. TC and ABS up a little bit. Not too much though, because if you push it too far one way, it will actually slow you down and cause more of a problem. You need that little bit of rotation and the car to just work with you as well. So the drivers are going to have to be well prepared for that. So qualifying's underway. We're getting things rolling, and a couple of cars needing to really pick up the pace. Devs Grudon is a good case for that. An incredible driver. Unfortunately, previous race landed up with multiple drive-throughs and a stop-go 30. Chucked onto the time. That definitely went and hurt his drive, and he's looking to try and improve after last weekend's escapade. And, well, landing up into the dirt, just going and relying on the Lambos to get on by, ensuring that he doesn't get caught up. So now drivers trying to figure out their feet and trying to find out where they can go. Taking a look over to our virtual grandstand, sitting there with a couple of umbrellas. I see we got Rolotsky going and relaxing in the front. So how's it? Glad to see you there. And it's always entertaining to see our drivers and also spectators joining us out right across the world and being a part of the fun. Peterson out in first place though, putting in that top time, hoping that it's going to be the best one to run all season long. It's going to be a difficult run for him, as he hopes to try and move a little bit more up the pace. And then Camille Hassan has been on a huge charge. Keep an eye out on this driver. The Omen Racing with TF Sport has been incredibly quick with the Aston Martin. Been one of those reliable drivers to push their way to the front. Also, very, very inquisitive. Going and asking around, finding out people's setups, what they're doing differently, how they're finding out the pace. Really been growing in the space. And then Red Angel is also a very, very quick driver in the Red Bull colors and going and having a bit of fun out there. Is a driver to keep an eye on. Debut outing in Server 1. Got a top 5. Went and really put the fight towards the sharp end of the field and is definitely going and racking up those points to become better and better. Paul Fenter now up into 4th. Darius up into 3rd with that Nissan Skyline GTR. And having a huge amount of fun with the Flows Cup in the Los Pantos Hermanos, going and really showing off what they can do, telling off the story once again about the 3 Ducks and how they've taken over the family business. Gotta say, the creative team has to go out to this lot. They have been really going and putting a new story every single time. Great to follow them and see what they can do. Ernest Umbriggs, who is out in 7th place at the moment. Now, fastest lap time has been a 1 minute 59.9 set by Peterson. Let's see how close the drivers are going to get to it, because now they're going and putting the hammer down, really trying to step up that pace and ensure they can stay in for the fight. It's going to be a close one for many of these drivers, trying to think out of the box. What do they need to do to try and move forward? And also track limits becoming a very big issue in the wet. Go a little bit too far wide on the exit here, touch the green, you will end up spinning, or you'll get a track limit warning, get chucked in, and that will just take out some of that time. Ernest Umbriggs moves himself up into 4th place, but not enough to beat out Peterson at the moment. Mont Spritzer up into 7th, and take a look at this. Rangel up into 3rd, properly giving it everything he's got. And Ryan is not backing down. Oh, tank slapper into turn 1 and is able to save it, but only just by the skin of the teeth. That Porsche wants to let loose quite quickly there. Unfortunately, touching the curb, got a little bit out and had to try and pull his way back in for the fight. Flow Scub in 4th place, trying to make up some time and really send that NSX around the corner. As we go through, unfortunately, a little bit further down, 9th position, Nicholas Coro, usually quite a quick driver of the Golds, out of that top 5 at the moment, and in the clutches of Nico Lawrence, who is really putting the power down. That lap times, though, a 2 minute 1.127 for Nicholas, and Nico got a 2 minute 1.172 on that previous run. Wyeth Musa goes and slots himself into the middle of that, the Project Vapor driver, trying to make amends after his last stint here in ERA, and also looking to try and charge for the championship. It's going to be a bit of a tighter one this time, as the Project Vapor team have been putting in a huge amount of effort on both sides of the waters. Nico Lawrence in 11th, Ben Hicks a little bit further down and is trying to catch up to fellow BMW driver as he goes and makes his way around. Hopefully the BMW luck will stay at Daytona and not make its way to the likes of the Nürburgring, as unfortunately not quite what you want to do by throwing a race away in the last 15 minutes. Now, let's take a look. Lucas Collop doing a great job out in the Mercedes AMG GT3. Now, this is a car that people were a bit concerned about in the wet, wondering if it's going to be able to perform, because it does munch curbs, as you can see, but that tail just gets a little bit too lively, and unfortunately can bottle up corners, as Lucas just found out into the final corner, hard on the brakes, and gets it on the throttle and comes across the line. Unfortunately, 13th position on the cards for him, not able to climb up through the ranks as yet. Bjornsson currently 0.1 up on his fastest lap time. So is Flo Scub trying to move his way up. As 0.1 up, Darius taking 2nd place and really putting on the charge. So he's managed to move up a little bit further. Nissan working rather well for him. But Flo Scub looking a bit quicker. 0.3 of a second up on his personal best. There may be enough time to just claw his way back up to the future and get himself towards that top 5. because it does look like Ben Hicks is going and stepping up the pace, and Paul Fenter not able to make his way around. He's also lost out a little bit of time. Lucas Collard, 0.5 of a lap, 0.5 quicker than his previous lap. Christian Fengler, a little bit further back in the track tool team, is currently running 0.2 faster than his previous, his best lap, and he's 17th position, looking to try again that top 15 and join the rest of his team. Davis Grudon a little bit further down in 20th position. That Mustang snapping around him, not able to go and pull it into check just as yet. Really battling at this point to try and keep it going, and it is absolutely soggy out there that all the drivers are starting to feel it as they try and power their way through. It's going to be a tough time for everyone, but it looks like it may work for David if he can just keep it together. It's 0.5 faster than his personal best. 0.3, it's going down. Can he keep on the power? Can he pull it back from the brink? He was nearly a second up before it started getting wrong on him. In 20th position, moves up to 13th. He's going to be happy with that one. Camille Allison comes across the line, puts himself into second. Darius is going to have to step up the pace in the last 4 minutes if he wants to be on the front row. And Sean Skitter moves himself up into 4th place. Going to be happy with that. Ryan trying to get a little bit more of a climb. Flo Scup really doing everything he can to battle it back from the brink as they make their way around. Flo is going to have to really think out of the box here to get this Honda to work for him and really power his way through. He's leading out his class, but wants to get in that top 5. The Platinum class, the closest to him, is Ben Hicks. So the more cars he can put in between himself and this BMW that's currently on screen, the better as they make their way around. Martin Spritzer going and matching his times. He's not able to improve at the moment. So far, Flo and Paul Fenter seem to be going and getting their times all sorted. Flo looks a little bit wide though, losing out a bit of time, trying to catch up and really give it everything he's got. Fans are going absolutely wild in the wet weather, and it's going to be really trying to dial it back. 0.3 up. He has a chance here to get himself into 3rd place if he can really go and push that a little bit harder. 0.2, and Sean Skitter also on a good lap. It seems like the Honda NSX has really came out with a bang here at the Nürburgring. Heading into the final chicanes, going to be hard on the brakes. A quick left-hander followed by a quick right-hander. Short little straight, and then through the long right hand where you've got to just feather the throttle, get on the gas nice and gently, throw the tail out, and go, go, go. 0.2 of a lap quicker than his previous, and gets himself into 4th. Now Sean Skitzer's going to answer with the exact same one as he tries to get it all together. Final corner, and he is 0.6 up on his best lap time. This is going to be enough to get him right into that top 3. And I think he may be having enough to get past Darius as he comes across the line and gets into that 2nd position. Absolutely bombed it around the corner, got it sorted, and on the hot charge of his way back. So absolutely incredible stuff. Now it's going to be some hard work for our drivers to keep pushing, as we do see a couple of cars parked off and just allowing to go. David Scruder, unfortunately, was on his best lap time, but lost out a little bit of time. Ben Hicks, 0.2 up on his best. Martin Spritzer doing a phenomenal job, 0.1 up. Tomo currently 0.1 up as well. Simon Kusa, a little bit further down, just trying to get it all together. Gets a bit squirrely on the throttle, and that Merc's tail end starting to step out underneath him. Jude Neville also on the climb, trying to make his way up, 0.1 up on his previous lap time, and will be pushing a little bit harder. The BMWs and the Mercs seem to be battling the most around this circuit. Mahyth Musa, though, is in 6th position, so he may take that away and that thought process away. Ryan giving everything he's got, 0.2 of a second faster than his best lap time. You can see those puddles now starting to become a bit more of a problem, reflecting off the circuit, and you can see how fine of a line the drivers are going to have to really work their way around here. Not wanting to go and overstep the mark, not wanting to slide too much. You need to just keep it nice and balanced, as we will go and see a little bit of an onboard from the cars and just get a bit of a sense of what's happening as we jump on board with Ryan down into The hairpin turns it in. Second gear, you don't want to drop it too low. You can see that traction control on the right side getting really put to the test. Mounts through the Schumacher S's. Third gear, up through, not making it too easy for him. Into fourth. He's able to carry a lot of momentum, but now it's going to be hard on the brakes. ABS kicking in, trying to keep that car stable. Traction control really leaning on it quite a bit on both sides as he tries to get this GT3 to work with him. The Porsche having to really find its comfort zone. He's lying down in 8th with Nicholas Cora right behind him in 9th position. Will he be able to move his way up through the order? Hard on the anchors, tries to bring it back. Oh, too much curb. And that's it. Done, dusted, into the weeds he goes. Nicholas Cora currently in 9th place and is the fastest of the golds. Now showing off what he can do. The Everest Racing team, Nicholas is not backing down from the fight. He's going to properly send it in with the McLaren. Looking very neat. And now through the NGK chicane. Final corner. Gets on the power. Can he get himself up a little bit further? 0.1 up on his best lap time. And unfortunately not able to go and move it. Lost that little bit of time right at the end. Flo Scub also trying to go and move his way up through the order. Unfortunately, not up on his best lap time. And then Chris Wall, currently 0.1 up on his fastest lap time. Tries to get across the line as fast as he can. And not close enough. Will be starting in 23rd position for that one. Drivers all putting in a huge amount of work. Unfortunately, for some, it just hasn't worked out for them. But this is qualifying. There is still a very, very long race to go. A couple of people in the grandstands joining in the virtual grandstands. We got Vietia Buerta going and saying, how's it? All the way for the Logistical Nightmare Racing team. And supporting the fellow South Africans that are racing. Sean Skitter testing out the pit lane entry. Gets himself in and done. So, while we take a look at this beautiful track of the Nürburgring GP circuit, the Strecke, and see some of the stunning shots of it. Gotta say, in the dry, an amazing circuit. In the final corner, though, if you want to go on a more exciting trip, you definitely take a left instead of going right, and you head on to the famous Green Hell, the Nordschleife circuit, where it gets incredibly long. And your drivers are going to have to be wide awake. We're not going to be doing that this time. We're going to be enjoying the GP circuit and having a ton of fun, as our drivers will have to battle it out with some very cold temperatures. Tracks at 27 degrees, air temperatures at 23 degrees. So expect that track temperature to come plummeting down very, very quickly and become a bigger problem for a lot of these drivers. But it's also going to be bucketing down with rain the entirety of the race. And that is going to make things a little bit more difficult in an hour's race. You're going to have to really keep your focus up. You're going to have to see where exactly you're going to be able to get going. How far are you willing to push the car? And if you're going to be able to keep it all out on track. It's always a tough time out there, and drivers are going to have to bear that in mind. Talking to their teams, tire pressures are going to be a critical piece of information for them to go and set up. Especially for our championship runners. Now, our defending champion, Christoph Peterson, has got a problem knowing the competition is getting quicker right behind him. You got to see it in round 1. Now you're seeing it in round 2. How close they're getting to him. He does have a little bit of a hand by having Sean Skitter next to him in second place. So a teammate to back him up. Camille Hansen looking to put a dent into that, along with Darius as well. Flo Scub, a little bit further down in 5th place, leading out the Platinums. He's going to be quite happy with it, but lots and lots of pressure is going to come down of making sure that he stays up ahead. One mandatory pit stop is necessary for these drivers, and let's go down to our grid and take a look at the beautiful shot of those GT3s all lined up, ready to go. Engine's going to be purring at this point and getting themselves ready to go. Christoph Peterson, leading out the top of the pack, will have a rearview mirror full of his competition lining up behind him. But we've also got now a very interesting factor we didn't have in round 1, but it starts coming in from round 2 onwards. and that is our success penalties. You might be asking, what on earth is a success penalty? Why does it matter? Well, it matters for this. Every time you come in first place, you get a 30-second penalty added to your time. Second place, 15 seconds, and so on and so on. So it becomes a little bit more of a problem. You're going to have to start planning that in your head of how on earth you're going to get that success penalty done in your pit stop and also ensure that you can keep going. Second to that, we have our penalties that have been issued for race incidents after round 1. Now, there was numerous that came through. Lots of bumps, scratches, and knocks came from round 1. And that's what we see in Camille Hansen with sitting with 30 seconds added to his time. Didn't come in first place, but definitely getting that impact of steward penalties. You'll start to see more and more of the penalties coming through. Sean Skitter, 15 seconds. We got Ryan with 5 seconds. Nicholas Cora with 15, and that's because he also came first in the gold. Ernest Lumbriggs with 15 seconds. Ben Hicks with 15 seconds. Martin Spitzer with 5. Nick Lawrence with 5 seconds as well. And the list will go down and down and down. Always a difficult time for our drivers, and this is a mandatory, needs to be done, and it will be done during their pit stops. So bear that in mind when you pull into the pits. You're going to be stationary, not only for the time taking fuel and tires, you're going to have to serve your penalty as well. And that changes a race. We saw last season how much of an effect it had, where it came down to the final race of the season to make it happen for all our classes. And that is because these penalties go, well, the success penalties go and bring the field a lot closer and challenge you as a driver to start thinking outside the box of what works for you and what works for everyone out there. Delta Negative also going and saying, good luck to all. Good to see you guys out and having a bit of fun out there. Always good to see. Delta Negative is a racing team out in South Africa, and not often we get to run across. But good to see them having a bit of support to the rest of the field here in Evolution Racing Academy. And if you've been just joining us, a huge welcome. Glad to have you guys here. I hope you brought your umbrellas and brought your raincoats, because we're in for a monster of a rainstorm that will be pouring down throughout this hour-long race that is going to challenge the drivers to stay on those wets, save their tires, work out where it's going to be the best run for them. Otherwise, you're in the wall. You got a problem, and all these drivers are wanting to see the end. I can tell you the amount of practice that's been done is tremendous. 41 GT3 cars will be starting this race. That is a monster of a field, considering they have got turn 1 that will become their biggest problems to deal with, and that is not an easy corner. It's hard braking, especially in the wet. You got to start moving everything back that little bit further to ensure that you're not running into too much of an issue. Now, our cars will be setting off shortly, and they will be utilizing a couple of things to warm up their tires. One, a bit of brake drag. In other words, going and resting their foot on the brake, causing it to engage and start building a bit of heat into those brake pads. That will then filter into the brake disc, go from the brake disc to the rim to tire, and then it'll start heating up the carcass of the tire to get them going. They also need to make sure that they don't take too much life out of the tire. That being said, let's go through our grid and see who's starting where, because this is going to be exciting. This is going to be a great race nonetheless. So, for the ERA Sunday Championship, let's take a look at who's starting where. Christoph Peterson in first place, along with Sean Skitter. Camille Hansen running in third, followed by Darius Flo Scott in fifth. Blythe Musa in sixth. Ryan Gell in seventh, followed by David Scruden. Nicholas Cora, Ernest Lumbriggs, Jude Neville, Jens Nelson, Paul Fenter in 13th. Ben Hicks a little bit further down. Martin Spritzer in 15th, followed by Sebastian Luxen. Lucas Collard, Glenn Smith, Nico Lawrence, Christian Fengler, Skirt Reynolds, Stephen Milano James, Chris Wall, Tremona Marnie, along with Lewis Knight, Stuart Parsons, Andre Soradio a little bit further down in 27th, Nicholas Porras, Freddie Morelli, along with Simon Cusso, Eric Littall, Neil Greening, Hanso Foss, along with Federico Calgero, David Young, Liam Smith, Patrick Bowles, David Roth, Wilfred Robertson down in 39th. 40th is Tadas Volkel, and Finn Holland starting in 41st position. A little bit further back, a little bit more of a problematic, and our drivers make their way around the circuit. It's going to be exciting for this one because it is all about the chase, and Peterson has got a lot on the cards here to try and run away from the rest of the field. Darius will be trying to back him up here and try and get a little bit closer. Now Darius has gone and fought out his teammates many times in the past. We've seen that, and he's not afraid to get his elbows out. Sean Skitter as well will look to do battle and ensure he stays in for the fight. Now we have seen Sean Skitter did have a rough first round, and he's looking to try and improve after that. Camille Anderson is in the mix, full of logistical nightmare racing cars around him. Now Camille is going to have to be very cautious here and trying to not get caught between all the teammates and ensure that he stays in for the fight. Flo Scub a little bit further back will be keeping a very close eye on the battle. Now his fight is a little bit further down the field with Ben Hicks in 14th, but he can ensure that he can stay into that top 5, maximize the points, maximize the tow, and utilize any bit of advantage that may come from it. The team's starting to back their way up. Now it's going to be closing up 70 kilometers an hour, max speed limit for these GT3s as we get ready to rock and roll as they make their way through the NGK chicane into the final corner. And this is going to be a bit of a tight one. It's going to be a really keep it on the black stuff moment for turn 1. Anything can happen. A few cars gonna dive looking towards pit lane as we're going ready to go. Jump to our helicam just so we have a better look at the field as they get ready to go. Lights on, everyone waiting. Drive-throughs for Lucas Collop and Nicola Lawrence for being out of position, and now it is a charge down to turn 1 as our drivers give it everything they got side by side. It does look like a little bit of a brave moment coming in from Flo Scub. He backed out of it though. Maith Musa getting out a little bit wide. Brian Gell keeping it all together. David Scruton managing to launch his way by as they find it out. 3 wide, and an Ernest Lumbriggs, unfortunately a little bit of contact with him, loses out that little bit of time. And it does look like Flo Scub also dropping back a bit. Sees Maith Musa get past him, and away they go. And Flo Scub now trying to go side by side with Maith Musa, utilizing that twin-turbo Acura to try and motivate itself a little bit forward ahead of Maith Musa, getting those tyres all sorted out. Darius into 4th position is going to be quite happy, because we did see Flo Scub and Maith Musa come off the circuit, and that is not going to work out in their favor. Unfortunately, a couple of drivers running into issues early on in the race and falling down the order. Let's quickly go and take a look to that 101, and it looks like our replay system giving a little bit of a hiccup. We're able to get it back, and this is what happened to the likes of Ernest Lumbriggs. He fell further down the order after having slight a bit of contact at the start. Oh, another bit of contact again on the rear, and as he takes a look, there's all a bit of chaos ahead of him. 79, that's Nicholas Porras. It's gone and stopped. Landed up with a huge problem a little bit further down the field. Not ideal, and that was up against the 440 by the looks of it. And let's take a look. The 440 of Simon Kursat was just trying to keep himself in the green, and got pincered between it all. It looks like the 2 teammates of the track team had gone and taken themselves out there. Not ideal circumstances, getting pincered, and Nicholas Porras unfortunately getting clobbered on that one and not having a fun time. So a couple of drivers unfortunately running out of the mix here, and looks like Christoph Peterson smiling as he gets away. Sean Skitter trying to pull himself along. Millenton currently in 3rd, Darius in 4th place, but the drivers are bouncing around all over, and it does look like we got problems once again a little bit further. Ernest Lumbriggs going and losing out, and it's Ben Hicks and Paul Fenter that had a bit of contact with one another. Not ideal circumstances there. Paul Fenter in the 420 lands up in a bit of an accident. And let's see if we can try and go back to it. We try and capture all this action, and that was with Maith Musa right next to him. So Paul Fenter side by side going down to turn 1. with Mahath Musa, and it does look like, a little bit off onto the grass, swings across, caught the rear of Ben X. Nowhere to go, caught the grass, and that was it, unfortunately, throwing his car into Ben Hicks, who's now in the clutches of Neil Greening behind him, and Neil's not going to back down. Liam Smith's feeling the pressure as they battle their way through, so definitely some tough times out there. Andre Serradio currently moving his way up. He's behind Martin Spritzer, trying to make up some time. Big Bentley of Hanzo Foss right behind him. Lewis Knight trying to keep it all together. He's got Skirt Reynolds and the full American trying to come back at him and really utilizing all the power possible as they chase each other down. But it does look like Sebastian going to go around the outside. Is he going to get this all locked in? Oh, bit of contact between the two. Nice save from Skirt Reynolds. But Sebastian says thank you very much. He's going to take that position with absolute ease. And now that he's gone and had a little bit of sliding moments, he's going to get on that gas as quick as he can. Liam Smith feeling the pressure. Ben Hicks right behind. Neil Greening going to go for that inside launch. It's going to be a huge run for the big Mustang. Is able to keep it going. And Patrick Wells right behind him is trying to make up some time under braking. You can see how quickly those BMWs can stand on the gas. It does look like a bit of a hold up there. Now Finn Holland holding back Eric Littell, who got Flo Scub into a bit of a situation now with Wilfred Robertson looking to try and get past him, but he loses out. David Ross says thank you very much. David Ross switching out from the Merc to the Porsche is going to be quite happy with that. Flo Scub going and battling up ahead. He's going to try look on the inside of Eric Littell. Can he keep it all together? And Finn Van Hollen gets contact. He's in the middle of the track, and it is absolute chaos. A little bit further down, nowhere to go, and he gets it in the neck. Nicholas Porras with that drive-through penalty as well. So we are seeing cars all over the show for the start of this race, and not an easy time as they go. Tomorrow Mani Malami is having a good go. Chris Wall trying to keep on to the back of him, and Ernest Lumbriggs trying to claw his way back through it all after quite a nightmare situation for a number of these drivers. Unfortunately, conditions going and catching out quite a few drivers and making it rather tricky. It should all start stabilizing out a little bit now, as drivers are just trying to keep it all together. Ernest Lumbriggs trying to make up some time. Remember, he is in a monster of a championship fight, and down in 15th position does not help it. And it does look like moving their way past back markers. Chris Wall allows Ernest Lumbriggs to get on by. Dives up on that inside, got the pass done, and now carrying on the momentum. Chris Wall's going to try and utilize as much of a tow as possible to get closer to Tolmo ahead of him. Freddie Morelli feeling the pressure of Andre Serradio behind him. Andre Serradio from the Project Vapor team trying to make up some time. Looks around the outside. Not close enough though. You see Freddie going a little bit late on the brakes, trying to get a little bit closer to that. Looks to be on the tool cards, and that might be Nicholas Porras. Yes, it is. It's Nicholas Porras who's now into the pits, serving his drive-through penalty, and that has only caught Freddie out as Andre Serradio, Hanzo Foss, and Sebastian join onto that queue and now look to try and make a bit of a move. Serradio looks for the inside. That Ferrari 296 is very good under braking. Can he make it work for him? A little bit too slow on corner entry. That's bottled him up a little bit. And now Hanzo Foss is going to have a good go at him. Looks to try and get a bit closer. Sebastian actually gets the run of Hanzo Foss. And now keep an eye on this, because Hanzo is needing to really pull back and try and go after Sebastian, who's been making some great moves at the moment. Had some very close calls, but it is keeping it all together, and does look like Paul Fenter. Oh my heavens, where on earth did Paul Fenter go? 420 landing up into the dirt. It looks like that might have been contact with the 913 of Titus Volkel. And let's see, Titus, who was trying to keep it all together. Unfortunately, with the Polaroid Mustang, I think he did not expect Paul Fenter on the inside. And, a bit of understeer from Paul Fenter's car, turning around Titus. He lands into the dirt in regard, and now it is just trying to pull his way back through the field. So Paul Fenter now trying to catch up and is on the back of David Young of Delta One Racing. So now it's going to be a huge run. David Young, defensive inside line. Try and hold back. Oh, Liam Smith looks like he's had a bit of a problem as well. Down in 29th position. The 2ID, Matty, going and landing up with a bit of a problem. And this team is really good in the wet. Unfortunately, it looks like this time around, not ideal. Sebastian around the outside, though. Freddie Morelli now trying to keep it all together. As Sebastian in the Aston Martin, having a good go, not backing down from the fight. Going to go side by side with him. Late breaking into the NGK chicane. Huge send for Sebastian. He gets it absolutely stopped on the anchors. Well done on his part. And that caught Hanzo Foss out big time. As now he is really onto the back of Freddie Morelli, who went and stood on the anchors, trying to just keep away from any form of contact whatsoever. So at current, with all that has gone on, Hanzo Foss in 21st position, looks for the inside line. Big Bentley couldn't quite do it. Boatley having a difficult time out there. It does look like Lewis Knight's also having a difficult time, as Gert Reynolds nearly into the back of the car. And that's going to close up Ben Hicks onto the back of him. So Ben is now going to have a look on the inside as he fights his way through. So the top end of our racing is pretty calm and relaxed. But while you go further down through the field, it is getting hugely competitive, with the drivers making little mistakes here and there. But it is going to be a little bit more challenging, as we are expecting the drivers a bit closer to the 20 minutes left of this race versus a little bit further on, where we've seen those halfway pit stops. And drivers are going to have to think very carefully of what they need to do. So Tomo trying to keep it all together, with Mon Spritzer closing up that gap 1 second behind. And he has got Stuart Parsons also making up a little bit of time. Chris Wall feeling the pressure, going and keeping an eye on his mirrors, ensuring that he's not going to have Tomo getting past him any way possible. He's going to have to think really long and hard about this one, of how he wants to really think on his race strategy as it goes. But let's quickly go through our current top 10. It's Christoph Peterson out in first place, leading out by 3.4 seconds to fellow teammate Sean Skitter. Camille Ensign in third place, 1.6 seconds back. Darius running in fourth. And fifth place is Ryan Gell. But take a look. David Scrudon going and making up a lot of time. And it looks like this might be the redemption arc for him. After a rough round one, he's going for it in round two. He is now right on the side of Ryan as they try to make their way through. A bit of understeer. Whoa, and Nicholas Cora nearly getting caught out in that mix as well. David just getting his nose in. Unfortunately, that side-by-side knock went and caught him out a little bit. Ryan, a little bit further back, had to try and hit the brakes a bit harder. And we do see a car that has spun off. That is the 420. Yellow flags for the 420. That is Paul Fenter, stopped in the middle of the NG. That's on the exit of the NGK chicane. Not going to be a happy camper there. Unfortunately, losing out a lot of time and missing out with the entire field. He's actually come to a bit of an abrupt halt. What on earth has happened to Paul Fenter? So let's try and take a look. This is next to Finn Holland. They make their way through up to the NGK chicane. Going to be hard on the anchors. And just trying to keep it all together. A little bit of a slip, a little bit of a slide. Gets the car turned around. Fortunate enough, Finn Holland did not get any impact there. That was pretty much that for Paul Fenter, who looks like he may have just towed back to the pits. That's rather unfortunate, actually. We've seen quite a good run from him, but oh no, Ryan getting a little bit of a tank slapper on the way through. Loses out that little bit of time, has to pull himself back, and now Jens Nelson in the mix right by him. Nicholas Coro got that pass done and dusted, and Jens Nelson's going to keep the pressure right onto the back of him, ensure he can stay in for the mix. Looks left, looks right, can't get by just as yet. Going to follow him through the chicane. Feeling a little bit of that aero wash, having to just really tiptoe, try and keep it all together. Nicholas Cora feeling the pressure from behind of Ryan all over the back of him. Looking left, looks right, couldn't quite get it, and unfortunately a Porsche just not getting that drive out of the corner and losing out that little bit of time. He's going to have to go for a little bit of a late dive somewhere else on the circuit. Going to have to get rather brave, as Jens Nelson's going to keep a huge amount of pressure onto the back of him, ensuring that he stays in for the fight no matter the cost at this point. We have seen a couple of retirements, unfortunately 39 cars still going around the track. We have seen Paul Fenter go and call for retirement after his car just not playing well with him, which is unfortunate really. And after round one, having his steering wheel physically get ripped apart from the bolts inside it. He's got himself all ready for round 2, and it looks like round 2 just not turning into his ideal run nonetheless. So he's having to wait it out with the rest of the competitors going to be joining up on the grandsets. Hopefully we can get a little bit more of an answer from him of what exactly has gone on. Maybe they can get that car out. I would hope to think so, that they can get that car going once again. Didn't look like too much damage to the car. Might have been a little bit of tow time needed, but I think there is an opportunity to get that Honda NSX out to score some points. Oh, Rangel getting a little bit unsteady, caught the puddle, and that was all she wrote. The Porsche getting a monster of a tank slapper on the way through. So let's run through the running order quickly. Christoph Peterson in first, followed by Sean Skitter and Camille Hansen. Darius running in fourth. Fifth place is David Screwdon, followed by Nicholas Cora, leading out of our golds and is in 6th position, folks. That is incredible. Jens Nelson in 7th. 8th position is Ryan Gell. Myers Musa a little bit further down in 9th position. Jude Neville in 10th. Then we have got Glenn Smith making up a bit of time. He's in 11th place with Stephen Milano James running in 12th. Ernest Lundberg's trying to make up some time, getting right onto the back of him, and is not going to back down from this charge. He's going to really stick that nose up on the inside of Stephen Milano James. He just couldn't quite get the brakes on to get it going. And then behind him, Chris Wall leading out his class as we watch a bit of side-by-side action. It looks like we're going to see 2 of it, as this is Ernest Lundberg's and Stephen Milano James leaning on each other door to door, not backing down. Who's going to be late on the brakes? So last of the late breakers seems to be Ernest Lundberg. Stephen Milano James rethinking that one. Chris Wall goes defensive, a little bit too far on the brakes, so, and Tomo goes up on the inside. He's going to try and take the position. Side by side they go. This is for the lead of the Platinum class, keeping it very, very close, door to door, and it does look like the Merc may be enough to beat out the BMW through the Mercedes complex and gets it all a bit more hammered down. This is absolutely a huge run for them, as Tomo now having to wait it out, gets hard onto the brakes to ensure he can stay into the mix with Chris Wall just ahead of him. Then we've got Parsons just running behind in 16th position, second of the gold. And it really tells you of the difference in these drivers. They have that mentality to push a little bit further, learning quite a bit over the course of the week with the track conditions, what their cars can do, a bit of tweaking to the setups to make sure that they can stay in with these top spots. And honestly, the difference between gold, platinum, and diamonds is getting smaller and smaller. That gap, that skill gap, is getting so small between them, and it's becoming more and more harder to identify who's going to be running in what. I've got to say, absolutely incredible stuff to see the drivers really pushing themselves out of the running, and I do suspect we're going to see an entire field of diamonds in the not so distant future, where it's going to phase out those golds, it's going to phase out those platinums, and it's just going to be diamonds all the way through. But not to mention, and not to forget about, we do have our second server currently running, and that has also got our irons and coppers racing as well. Those are a little bit slower than what we're seeing currently out on screen. Now I say a little bit, they are definitely very quick drivers nonetheless. Been on the track with them, got to see them in first hand, especially in these conditions, and they were also quite close in terms of that skill gap between the top of the irons and coppers to the likes of our golds and platinums and current. Myers Musa keeping the pressure on Ryan Gell at the moment. They are fighting it out for 8th and 9th as they boot their way around the track, trying to make up any bit, a little bit of time, as we do see Stuart Parsons losing out a bit of time, and immediately as Sebastian through the Mercedes complex gets it hooked in, and the Aston Martin looking a little bit more planted than the Ferrari 296 there. That's allowed Andres Rodio a little bit closer into that fight as well. Flo Scubb, who's had a bit of a rough race thus far, is currently in 22nd position and now trying to claw his way back from the brink. He's onto the back of Lewis Knight. Lewis giving a little bit of a tow and backs out of it. Goes and allows Flo to come on through, and now it's going to be all for Flo to just try and make his way through. A quick flick of the hazards just to say thank you out there. That I've got to take my hat off. That is courtesy. You don't have to do it. There's nothing in the rules that says that you have to give a little bit of a thank you. But when you get to see it, it is an absolute pleasure. 10 points to flow for that one. That is really beautiful to see. I love to see when guys are playing nicely with one another, that you get to see those like flash the line, the quick thank yous, or you get to see the indications of saying I'm moving on to this side, you overtake me on the opposite side. Something we don't get to see often in the world of motorsport, as drivers do get a bit sucked into their own races, but in sim racing we do get to see it every once in a while as they try and push their way through. Mahayth Musa keeping the pressure on the back of Ryan, who's doing a phenomenal job at this point. He's going to have to really think how to snap this toe of the BMW. It's got incredible pace as they make their way around. And it's going to be a huge run as we do see Mahayth Musa looks for the inside, trying to go under braking, not having an easy time there. He does go in a little bit too hot though, and has Ryan come across his nose. And now Mahayth Musa, quick flash of the lights, just saying, well, that was a bit close, sorry bud. Now has Jude Neville onto the back of him. These two have gone to battle once, twice, 3 times before, across the waters and across the ponds. It's Mahayth Musa against Jude Neville, who's going to keep the pressure onto the back of him. Ryan now starting to open up that gap a little bit further and ensure he can stay in for the run. Taking a look at a bit of position gains. Mahayth Musa has lost 3 positions since the start of his race. He started in 6th, he's now in 9th. Ryan Gel's lost 1 position. Ernest Umbrig's lost 2 positions. Flo Scup 15 positions. Neil Ben Hicks lost 10. And Lucas Collop has lost 17. Mon Spritzer, though, has got the worst of it. 21 positions. We did see him get a big impact to his nose. And it was going to be just a monster overrun. Nico Lawrence has lost 18th, and Nicholas Porras is running 10 positions down from where he started. So not an easy time out for a lot of these drivers, but there's still a lot of time to gain at the moment. Mahayth Musa keeping the pressure onto the back of Ryan Gel, trying to make sure he can stay in for the fight here. It's going to be close running and a quick dab on the brakes, trying to keep the momentum as they make their way through into the NGK chicane. It's going to be hard on the brakes to try and get it sorted. Quick left-hander, quick right-hander. The BMW is going to be beautiful over the curbs, but can he keep the pace up to carry the momentum through the final corner, keeping the toe? It runs out a little bit wide, that front just washing out underneath him. He's not able to get that momentum. Jude going and moving across to the far right-hand side, strangely enough, is opening up a huge gap there. Not quite sure what that was on earth about. Maybe just not as comfortable on the exit. And we do see the 222 on Liam Smith. Unfortunately, oh, where on earth did Liam Smith go? He has actually come to a stop. So Liam Smith has come to a stop and has towed back to pit. Something has gone on with his car, and that is him out of the running. Camille Henson now keeping the pressure on Sean Skitter. This is a fight for second position, and they keep on going. Now remember, Sean Skitter's got 15 seconds he needs to serve in his next pit stop. Camille Henson's got 30 seconds. So if Sean Skitter can get into the box before Camille, he knows that he's got that position pretty much waxed. He doesn't have to worry about too much of it, because he's got another 15 seconds over Camille. Moving a little bit further down, Jens Nelson onto the back of Nicholas Cora. Now Nicholas got 15 seconds, but remember, 2 different classes here. We got Jens, who's currently running in Diamond, versus Nicholas Cora in Gold. So he's got a bit more of an opportunity to just let him on by and carry on with the race. He doesn't have to put in that fight. He doesn't have to duke it out and go wing mirror to wing mirror. He can rather just back it down a little bit, ensure he stays in for an easier running. But Jens can rather just keep into the toe. A couple of drivers that have actually done their pit stops, Martin Spitzer and Nicolaus, and we got Nicholas Porras, along with Flo Scup, have completed all their mandatory pit stops. So they are racing to the end. 37 minutes to go. Lots of thinking to be done here. Lots of planning out of where things are going to go. And how far are they willing to push the boundaries, as we do see Finn Holland onto the back of Simon Kussat, who got it very wide out there. Whoa, massive tank slapper coming from Mercedes. Not a happy camper. And this is going to be a difficult time now, as he's been set off the racing line. He's going to have to try and keep it together as Flynn Van Holland maintains that bit of pressure. And he knows that Simon is watching those mirrors now, and watching it rather intently after making critical mistakes in the race. So he needs to keep that pressure ongoing if he wishes to try and move up in the Platinum division. looking around the outside. Not going to be an easy one there. Rather just keep in the wing mirror. Tow yourself in nice and easy. Get a good drive out of the NGK chicane into the final corner, into the long right-hander. Unfortunately, lost out a bit there. Stuart Parsons now into the pits, so he's getting his pit stop done and dusted to ensure that he can carry on with the race. 15 seconds he needs to serve as well on top of his fuel and tyres. So the drivers are having to really try and work their way through here. Lots and lots of running. Ben Hicks at the moment had a difficult run off the start of his race. He's trying to make up some time. He's currently 0.4 of a second behind Neil Greening. Neil going and actually swapping out from the Mercedes race last season. He's gone to the Mustang. Ben Hicks is going to keep the pressure on him with the BMW, and he's been doing a really good job at it, staying constantly onto the back of him and ensuring he can keep in with the fight. So great to see lots of drivers still pushing on and making sure that they can keep on the momentum through it all. James Nelson doing a fantastic job sticking onto the back of Nicholas Gora. Now, something we got to point out here, he could go on the attack and try and get past Nicholas. Instead, he's waiting. He's just following it out, just cycling those laps in. He's not too concerned because they are getting closer to David Screwed-on ahead. And David, at the moment, is not watching that relative as hard as one should in that respect. Yellow flags are being waved, and I think it's going to be for a car that is pulling into the pits. And was that for a car that pulls into the pits? No, it wasn't. It looks like we may have had a car off circuit going and losing a bit of time there. So unfortunately, a couple of more cars landing up with a few problems, and it does look like we do have another retirement coming in as well. So we're down to 37 cars running around the track at the moment in these conditions. A little bit further down, 14th, 15th and 16th position, all within a second of one another. And Stephen Milano James watching his mirrors very carefully as Tomo looks up on the inside, trying to get past. Couldn't quite get it all hooked in. Sebastian trying to get a little bit closer, staying in the mix. So Tomo is going to have to really try and push harder for the Cyber Racing BMW. Really leaning onto the throttle, tries to keep it going. And Chris Ward just ahead will be starting to feel the pressure from Stephen Milano James, who's going to be really going and urging him to go a little bit quicker. Try and push yourself out a little bit more because he's in for a difficult fight and he's bringing a 3-car train into the mix. And now this is Chris Wall's nightmare. One opening means that he's going to have an entire train of cars all going for that same spot. So Chris is going to have to be very careful here, and he knows that he's trying to score big after round one didn't go his way, where there was a little bit of a nudge between himself and Paul Fenter that was happening in round one. Threw himself into the dirt, lost out a few points, and now he's just trying to reclaim some of those in the championships to stay in for a bit of a fight and ensure he could stay in for it all. Federico Calgero touching the dirt there, not going to be too happy, and he's going to have David Roth all over the back of him as well. So having a difficult time there. Tomo looking around the outside and really trying to button it up, doing a fantastic job to keep his nose in there, and really looks for the inside apex. He's got Steven a little bit, can run him out wide here, keeps it very, very close. Can he keep into that toe? Gonna have to go very late on the brakes if he wants to get it right. He's got the outside, not gonna have it through the NGK chicane, but he can try and keep as close as he can over the corners, jumping those curbs. But now he's got Sebastian, who's got a brilliant drive out of the corner, look to the inside, try to get on by. That forces him out wide and gets a little bit of a tank slap, and now Sebastian's going to have the straight line. Tries to get a lot of momentum underneath him, really underneath that wing, and will look for the launch. Can he get this going for him? Looks for the inside, swaps to the inside, try making it 3 wide. Sees Tomo go for the inside line, side by side they go, and a beautiful cutback from Steven, who gets it beautifully done. Tomo lands up with a bit of a problem. Sebastian goes and runs around the outside of him, and it looks like he may have Steven lined up as well. Looks to go around the outside. This Aston Martin is hooked up this evening and is fighting it out nonetheless against Steven. Under all regards, he is doing a phenomenal job and showing off what he can do. I mean, this is second of our golds, and he's taking the fight to our platinums like there is no tomorrow at this point. He is ensuring that all drivers will raise an eyebrow and get to see that Sebastian is no slouch at this point. Stephen Milano James is starting to feel it. He's trying to wonder what on earth is this Aston Martin got underneath it that's catching up to a newer gen GT3 car. I mean, you're in a Lamborghini GT3 Evo 2. You're in the top of the class of it, and you've got a 2019 Aston Martin all over the back of you, chasing you down with that big burly V8 against the V10. Well, it looks like he's going to go up on the inside and make sure he puts it firmly planted on the apex, gets it past done, and Sebastian has locked it in. Gets a tank slapper though, tries to correct it, keeps the nose pointed. He just kept his foot on the gas. Absolutely tremendous stuff. Tomo trying to follow suit though with the BM over the curb, so not happy camper through it all. He does see Stevens trying to correct the line, see where he's trying to go, late on the anchors, moving it through. Can he get the drive to catch up to Stevens? It's going to be a hard chase here. It does look like Stevens opted to pull into the pits though, going and taking a bit of a breather after that close run, saying, okay guys, we're going to dial it back a little bit, try and figure out where I am on this, because that was totally unexpected. Couple of other drivers going in saying how's it from the virtual grandstands, and good to see that we've got a few people coming in and supporting, and unfortunately not on the track, as we do have one of the fast and feathered drivers going in saying how's it to everyone. Bit unfortunate for Huntix to not be in the mix here. Hanzo Foss in 16th. Gotta say, the Bentley has been something that's been slept on for this last little while. It's made a great return. At one point was the car you wanted to be in, and dropped off with all the BOPs. It seems like now the BOPs are played into its favor and brought the car back to life. Unfortunately, a couple of other cars just couldn't quite make the mix, the Lexus being one of them. A hugely supported car back in the early ACC, and it was an incredible car to drive. Fortunately, BOP just makes it not well worth it to go and take him for the mix, and drivers are starting to rather move on to different sort of vehicles as time has gone on. A bit of a problem there. It's a bit sad, but as all things go, time must run forward. As we do see Nelson all over the back of Nicholas Cora. Nicholas is in the top 5 as a gold. Let me just point that out. Gold division, that is third of the classes to be in. So you got your diamond, second is your platinum, then you got your gold. He was running in 5th place, ladies and gentlemen, with 2nd place in 11th. Chris Wall down in 10th is going to be making up some time here, making a few positions. Comes out of the NGK chicane into the final corner. First of our platinums. Trying to keep up the momentum now. We'll be looking to try and keep up that consistent climb with 29 minutes to go. So running through our current order, it is Christoph Peterson. Clean race for him. Open up 9 seconds gap. He is running. Sean Skitter in 2nd, followed by Camille Hansen. Darius running in 4th. 5th place is Jens Nelson, followed by Jude Neville, Glenn Smith, Ernest Lundbriggs, Chris Wall, Sebastian Luxon, Tomo Malami with Freddie Morelli, Lewis Knight, Hanzo Foss catching right onto the back of him, ensuring he could stay in for the mix there. Looks around the outside of Lewis Knight, couldn't quite get the drive underneath him, and we'll have to wait it out a little bit longer. Neil Greening down in 15th for the Logistical Nightmare Racing. Then we got Eric Littell, who's down in 16th. He's been in a few bangs and scratches throughout the race, but is still going consistent. Good to see him out there. Simon Kussat in 17th with Wilfred Robertson in 18th position. Dev Scruton now moving up to 19th. He has done his pit stop, so keep an eye on him. He's one of the drivers that has done the pit stop, got it out the way, and he is racing till the end. 28 minutes to go, and he has consistent effort through it all. He's got Mahias Musa in 20th position to worry about, along with Ryan Gell, who's now come out trying to get a bit of heat into those tyres. Nicholas Cora has returned to the track. And then we have got Mon Spritzer, followed by Flo Scub. Titus Volkol, who has the likes of Stephen Milano James up on the inside. Titus very slow into turn 1. And nearly at a snail's pace there for the Mustang Polaroid Racing. Not ideal circumstances, and that has now allowed Scott Reynolds to get onto the back of him. And Stuart Parsons going and running out a little bit wide. He's got Federico Calgero trying to make up some time. David Roth right behind with Finn van Holland, who's just come out of the pits. Patrick Giles right onto the back of him, is going to be all set up, ready to go. Little bit
on the loose side. He's got Lucas Collab for company in 33rd. 34th is Ben Hicks, followed by Dave Young and Nicholas Porras running a little bit further back. So a couple of drivers having a good time, other drivers not so much. And it does look like the one that I haven't seen is actually Christian Fingler. Now, Fingler has retired out of the race as well, which is not very common. He's usually a driver that likes to keep going no matter what. Unfortunately, it looks like whatever has gone on with the car, maybe a bit of damage early on in the race, after a bit of contact, has just taken the punch out of the car and has thrown him down. Oh, Eric Littell into the pits and also retiring that Mustang. What on earth happened to that 725? Was it 725? That's Neil Greening in the 725 Mustang. He must be in the 764. Neil Greening was a little bit slow. He just had a yellow flag, so that was just running out a little bit wide. Nothing too bad there. But what on earth happened to Eric, who was on for a good run and was a little bit slow into turn one, didn't quite work out in his favor. Yeah, just quite a few off tracks, and unfortunately quite a few cars not having an easy time out there, and really just tough racing right the way through. Alfred Robertson also a little bit slow, bit of off track moment, but nothing too wily on at all, as we do see Christoph Peterson trying to make up some time as he gets past Kurt Reynolds and does a phenomenal job of just clearing up the gap a little bit more. And he's got Sean Skitter trying to keep him for company at the moment as they may march their way around. Camille Henson now into the pits. Darius is into the pits, and Jen Selson's into the pits. Glenn Smith dives into the pits. So quite a few cars trying to capitalize on this very moment. 25 minutes to go. Get into the pits and get going once again. Dave Scruton is going to be the driver to keep an eye out on, as he is first of everyone that has done their pit stops. This police Mustang is really going as fast as possible and is doing a darn good job of keeping that pace through it all. Can he make up time at the moment? Because Darius, Glenn, Camille, Ernest Lundbriggs, Chris Wall, Jensen, Sebastian, Tomo, they all in the pits. He has an opportunity here to try and make up that little bit of ground. He's got no time on the board to go and get rid of as well. He has an opportunity to move himself into that top 10 and keep going. Flo Scub, though, unfortunately, gone and shoved himself off into the dirt. And the fast and feathered getting a little bit too ruffled out in the feathers there. Lands up in the weeds. Not trying to be a little bit into the nesting for that duck as he tries to get himself going. And he's right onto the back of our Polaroid Mustang. And it does look like back into the mix at least on the way through. So drivers trying to push on and persevere through this all. Not going to be an easy one. David Schutten getting up into 7th position, 3.9 seconds behind Jen Nelson, who's trying to get a bit of heat into those tires and get going once again. Nicholas Cora, a little bit further back, is now trying to make up some time. He's onto the back of Camille Hansen. Now remember, Camille had a little bit of a time deficit to go and serve. Now he's got the gold driver keeping that pressure onto the back of him to ensure he stays in for the fight. He's running a little bit further down the order than planned, but he is going to try and slowly start cycling his way back up through it all. A couple of drivers landing up into the slow lane, and that is Titus Vorkal running out of the way for Flo Scup. A little bit slow through turn one. He's going to have Tomo all over the back of him for the Cyber Racing, and Tomo doing a fantastic job out there, keeping an all consistent pace, ensuring he can stay in for the fight. So a couple of cars needing to still do their mandatory pit stop. And that is our top four. Christoph Peterson, current leader, along with Sean Skitter and Freddie Morelli and Hanzo Foss are needing to get their pit stops done. Do want to point out though, Sean Skitter set the fastest lap time of the race that was done without track limits being abused. A 2-minute .675, which is incredibly quick considering Christoph Peterson had to abuse track limits and he got 2-minute .3. Sean Skitter is managing to do that in the same car and ensuring that he can keep it all together. A little bit of a moment for our Polaroid Mustang as Tomo gets the pass done and dusted. We do see the 725 though landing up into the bit of an issue, and that's Neil Greening. What on earth happened to Neil? Trying to keep it all together, and it looks like he may have run into a bit of a problem. Did it just slip out underneath him, or did the car just give up the ghost? Yeah, looks like unfortunate retirement there. Team calling box, 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 and having to retire the Mustang. Now that's just unfortunate to see. Quite a huge amount of drop-offs from a variety of teams. But it's also quite sad to see that drivers are pushing themselves that little bit harder to do well. Unfortunately, succumbing to mechanical failures as Sean Skitter going and bouncing that car off the curbs. He's into the pits immediately. Now, Freddie Morelli is currently leading out our golds and trying to make up some time. So as we do see Hunter Foss has pulled into the pits. So Freddie's trying to make up that little bit of time and wants to break away as quick as possible and do everything he can. Sean Skitter going to be suffering with that 15-second added on success penalty to his time. And that's going to be eating away at him while he's sitting, listening to those engines roar past of the entirety of the field as he watches on. Christoph Peterson going to be smiling ear to ear. He has no penalties to serve other than just get his pit stop done, pull in the pits, get it done, carry out on the race. At the moment, he's running with a 40-second gap to the likes of Sean Skitter. He's got miles of room to play with here to get in the box, get it done, and move on. But that being said, we have seen issues slowly creep in. Doesn't matter who you are, how consistent you are, what your pace is, you can run into issues. Finn van Holland running into a little bit of a problem with Lucas Collab, actually. And does look like the two of them came to blows a little bit early on. Federico Calgero in 23rd position up against Stuart Parsons. Now Stuart trying to keep a little bit of a closer to the tight line, trying to ensure he doesn't swing too much across, doesn't get that car unstable. Well, Federico Calgero constantly putting pressure onto the back of him. David Roth, who is now in the Porsche, as said, changed over his cars, trying something a little bit different, going for a mid-engine, keeping right onto the back of the McLaren, knowing that the McLaren is a little bit more tricky through the corners. It doesn't quite have the tail end to work with it, and David's going to have to really try and keep it all together. Now, the Porsche is also one of these cars that are hit or miss when it comes to it. You could go charging after, you could try and get that pass done, but unfortunately, if you push the boundary a little too far, it will bite you. It will spin around. It will make life rather miserable if you can't get it all tamed. So he's having to back it off a little bit, rely on those traction controls to just keep it all in check and really utilize everything. That's one thing a lot of people tend to forget, is utilize that traction control and ABS. It's there for a reason, to help you out as a driver. It makes driving a little bit easier. Don't go way too overboard with it. Don't crank it all the way to max. Otherwise, every time you go through a corner, it's just going to bog down. It's going to be a misery to drive. You won't get the drive out of the car. But if you go and put it to the top and go 2 clicks down in the rain, you would be surprised of how much you can actually get out of the car and how much you actually don't have to move off. So if you usually drive with the traction control set at 3, move it up to, I'd say about 5, and you would be okay. ABS, same thing, move it up to, if you're driving on 3, move it up to 5 or 6, just to make things a little bit more stable for you and have it clean going. And that's something you do actually learn here at ERA, because during the week we have our academy just going on and teaching drivers the fundamentals, the basics, even the more advanced stuff. It's something that even your most advanced drivers tend to forget. It's always nice to have that quick refresher of, hey, this is what you need to keep an eye on. Camille Anderson onto the back of Ryan Gell. Now, Ryan has been doing a phenomenal job lying in 8th position. And this is a driver that, on debut outing in Server 1, put himself into that top 5. He's now fighting it out in that top 10. He has got Camille Hansen, who is an incredibly quick driver behind him. Very aggressive over those curbs, trying to push a bit harder, trying to get by, and put as much of an impact onto the back of him as possible, and ensure that he can stay in for the fight. So there is quite a few moments that these drivers are just trying to dig that little bit deeper and ensure they can stay in for the fights. As we see Lewis Knight and Flo Scup. Now, these two have always gone to war with one another in the past. They're doing it again. The Honda, the NSX GT3 versus the likes of the Nissan GTR. Older car versus, I would say, similar age, going and fighting it out. The Acura NSX GT3, incredible mid-engine turbocharged car. Ensure that you keep within the turbo band, though, not to lose out, as we do get yellow flags for the 101 car going and having a bit of a problem, and a bit of contact as well. And this is Patrick Giles against Wilfred Robertson, by the looks of it, try and keep it all together. Wolford gets a little bit of a tank slapper, swings across. 4 wide though, not going to make it easy there. Patrick trying to put his nose in. Huge launch on the inside. Oh, launched over the curbs. And no way to come to a stop. Unfortunately, that BMW taking a hefty impact to the nose. And now all the way down a little bit further. So he's pulled it into the pits. He's getting that car sorted out. Large number of damage to the nose. So we do see Floscup sends it up on the inside of the Nissan. Gets it hooked in and keeps on going. So Lewis Knight not pushing too hard there. Allows him to go on. Now Lewis is in the gold division. A little bit of a wiggle from Floscup just saying thank you very much there. Didn't really need to do that. Rather just work on the lights. Don't try and upset the car. Fighting out for 8th and 9th position is Camille Hansen versus Ryan Gell at the moment. And Camille is really keeping that pace going. Looks around the outside. No room. Going to go on the dirt though. Very brave to try and put his nose in. Tries his luck. Just could not get it. Ryan getting a beautiful exit. Managing just to eke ahead. But Camille went and stuck it all on the line there. Dived for the dirt to go for a pass. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out in his favor. And they had to pull it back quite a bit there. Unfortunately, lost out so much drive. I don't think that was really intended for him. Trying to go for a gap that was forever diminishing. But still, try pulling the old center move of if there's a gap, go for it. You know, that's one thing you've got to be so cautious about in these conditions because it just takes a dirt. Touching it, that slight slip of the wheels will cause you to lose it all. And sometimes going and putting yourself in that line of a problem will end up in an accident, which leads to our stewards looking in. Not a very good sight. Gotta say, you risked it for the biscuit. You got away lucky this time. Don't try and go for it again. Try and rethink that strategy. That gap, it does close down, but it does show that Ryan is watching his mirrors quite intently at this point because he's keeping a very close eye on the likes of this Aston Martin. Now, we're jumping on board. This is off the roll bar. That's generally your passenger's side. Going and keep an eye. You can see that spray kicking up. Tries to look for the inside line. And just that traction control on that left-hand side, you will see the dots on the dash on the left starting to kick up. Little blue dots that will go around. That will signal traction control or traction loss left and right as well. Looks for the inside. Bit of a snap round. Hard on the brakes. You can see a little red dot also building up on the bottom left of the dots there around the rev counter. That is your ABS that is starting to kick in as well. You're going to be so cautious on this type of approach not to go and have that becoming too invasive in your moves and losing out a bit of time. Little keys to look at while driving. Hard on the brakes, looks for the inside again. He's snapping around, getting very uncomfortable behind the likes of Ryan, and this is not ideal circumstances for him. He's got to have to keep it very clean. He goes very late on the brakes. He's very, very aggressive, but he's constantly darting around, trying to sit into those mirrors of Ryan at the moment, who's taking it all in. He is absorbing the pressure at the moment, but he's going to have to try and go a little bit late on the brakes. He does so. Is it going to work out for him? Ryan going to look for a bit of a cutback. Can he get it done? No. Camille managing to get that pass done and dusted. Ryan looks around the outside, but the Porsche just could not get it done. So Camille with a beautiful dive, a very late one, got it in, hooked it, stood on the brakes, got it lined up and carried on the momentum. Honestly, great driving from his part to keep it all going. Didn't think that was going to work out. I was proven wrong. David Schutten up into 5th place, so he's back into that top 5. He's going to be a happy camper with that one, as we do see the race starting to wind itself down. 13 minutes ago, Christoph Peterson in 1st, Darius in 2nd, Sean Skitter in 3rd, Jens Nelson in 4th with David Schutten, who was our earlier pit stops, now into 5th place. It does show you that little bit of a patience waiting game as he's now trying to make up some time to Jens Nelson ahead of him. That Lamborghini that is not running too far ahead. So Nelson's going to be very, very careful on this way as he does lose out a little bit of drive. David tries to look on the inside of him, tried once again, and that was it. Bit of police brutality to get past, and that Lamborghini had to go and move out of the way. So David Schutten now up into 4th position. Jens couldn't put up the fight there, but now it's up to David to start trying to get that momentum going as quick as he can. Martin Spritzer and Sebastian fighting it out. It does look like Martin had the inside line to carry the momentum. Sebastian did try around the outside. He fished for it, just couldn't get it all sorted. He had to wind himself back in. So taking a look over to our virtual grandstands, we got Damien Roney going and saying, how's it from Rolex? He's out there in Daytona, if I remember correctly, the Rolex Daytona. And a bit unfortunate about the BMW bottling it into turn 1 in the last 15 minutes, and all BMW fans crying. Paul Fenter, who was driving a little bit earlier, has also gone and resorts to sitting into the grandstands helping out. Maybe we can get a chat with him, find out what exactly has gone on with his car that has forced a retirement out of it. So unfortunately, quite a few of the cars this evening just not able to sustain the pace. 33 cars currently out on the circuit, but we started with 41, and that tells you the attrition rate at the moment was a little bit on the lower side for a lot of these drivers. Ernest Umbriggs looking up on the inside. The Berkusa Racing Team, the BRT, gets it right into the pass. Sebastian, not too much of a problem there, and looks onto Martin Spritzer at the moment, trying to maintain that pressure as he goes on. Chris Wall lying in 14s, we just saw him shot, trying to just keep an eye on this pack, ensuring that he doesn't get lost behind, doesn't land up in too much of an issue, as the classes are definitely mixing up. First of our gold side is Nicola Cora, who is down in 10th position. He's done a phenomenal job there, but he has got Sebastian that's trying to catch up to him. Ernest Umbriggs has just slotted himself into that little bit of a niche spot at the moment. So Sebastian is going to have to try and utilize Ernest Umbriggs to brute force that door open to try and catch up to Nicholas Cora. So this is going to be a proper run through it all, and drivers are needing to really get going. So a little bit of pit lane talk coming in while we take a look at a couple of the drivers. So we've got Paul Fenter giving us a little bit of a chat here as we see David Roth get past Stuart Parsons. Stuart's actually just mining out the gap, allowing that pass to actually happen. The 101 also a little bit so Patrick Biles. Sebastian going back on the attack with Ernest Umbriggs. We'll return to the pit lane talk just shortly as we're watching this little train. Martin Spritzer, Ernest Umbriggs and Sebastian all chasing each other. Oh, late on the brakes though. You could see Martin trying to balance the car in the braking zone, and Ernest Umbriggs just goes and leans it in, gets that pass done and dusted. Does he have the straight line though to try and pull away from Martin? Yes, he does. But Martin backs off a little bit, and that's allowed Sebastian to get right in for the mix. He gets a bit squirrely on the braking, loses out a little bit of time, and now has to battle it out. So pit lane talk quickly. Many deaths, and also snapped a mounting bracket in quali. Gessel's affecting me in the race. So I tried a very quick, easy fix. Unfortunately, didn't quite work. Andre said he and Musa had some random disconnect that took them out of the race. So that's unfortunately why Project Vapor fell out of the race, and also why Paul Fenter landed up losing out as well, having a mounting bracket break on him. So that is a technical fault that, well, you don't get to often. Oh my heavens, Martin Spritzer and Sebastian up against one another, and Chris Wall has just witnessed a murder. That was not quite ideal. Oh man, that was side on to one another, not the way you want it to happen. And let's see if we can try and get a bit of a helicopter view on that one of Sebastian, Lucas, and Martin Spritzer. So Martin drops the wheel on the dirt on the left-hand side. That Lamborghini gets a poor drive. Sebastian around the outside, trying to come together. Bit of understeer. First collision, second collision. Oh my heavens. Martin facing the wrong way. Sebastian just trying to keep on going. But that has put to bed that little dice once and for all, and turned it way onto its head in the final 8 minutes and 10 seconds of this race. We're starting to see quite a few drop-offs and a few mistakes creeping in for a lot of these drivers. Finn Holland all over the back of Stuart Parsons now. Now, these two are fighting for class position, so it's maximizing points here as they make their way through. It does look like the Windrush Racing car having an easy time, and Stuart Parsons going in, just opening that gap a little bit more, saying, look, not going to fight you too much, rather keep it going and see where it all goes. So let's take a look at who's where in class position. It is Christoph Peterson leading out the pack with Darius in second, and third is Sean Skitter for our diamonds. Then looking at our platinums, and that is Chris Wall leading out the pack with Martin Spritzer in second place, And Skirt Reynolds right onto the back of him, going to be making up a bit of time. Now that's third in the Platinums. Moving on to our golds, 10th position, and also first in the golds, Nicholas Cora, with Sebastian Ugzen running second of our golds. And Freddie Morelli has made up a huge amount of time. He's opened up the door. Oh, nearly closed the door on Tomo, who snuck on by there. Lewis Knight got that pass done on Freddie. Now, we just talked about how Freddie was running in third. Well, Lewis Knight snuck in there, took third place away, and Tomo Winton followed suit just by keeping on by. So Freddie caught out in the wild antics and not having an easy time. Lewis Knight going to sneak on by. The Angry Weasel going to be quite happy with that one. And in the TCR, going in and really putting on a great job. I've got to say, absolutely incredible stuff. But a bit of a sneaky move, and I think Freddie is now going and saying a few words underneath that helmet to ensure that he keeps going and making a bit of progress here. Flo Scub managing to get the pass and gets past Skirt Reynolds at the moment. Now it's onto the back of Martin Spritzer. They are fighting it out, full class position. Remember, this is all for the points to maximize. You don't want to have a drop round being this early on in the season. This is only round 2 of 7 rounds, and now it's going to be late on the brakes. Flo trying to go around the outside. Can he keep it all together? Martin keeps it firmly planted, and Flo trying to work his way through here. Skirt Reynolds trying to hound his way past, getting right up behind the two. Can't figure out where he could go. Look to go 3 wide. Door closed on him. He has to back out. Runs out a bit wide. Gets very squirrely on the exit of the bend, and now needs to go just try keep it all together. Martin Spritzer watching those mirrors like an absolute hawk at the moment, as he has got Flo Scub, Skirt Reynolds all over the back of him. Oh, Reynolds gets it very late under braking, loses out that little bit of time, lost out nearly a second just by late braking. Now he's lost the toe to Flo Scub and Martin Spritzer, who are carrying the momentum through. Martin for the Track Tool team trying to represent at the moment after some difficult racing from their side, and sunk it too far into the corner, and that's going to allow Flo to try and come back at him. Looks around the outside, couldn't get it sorted, gets back into it. Los Pantos Mamados are doing a fantastic job of really laying in the pressure, and honestly, got to say, the Ducks are looking good in the rain, as Flo doing everything he can for the Fast and Feathered team. As they go side by side, Martin loses a drive, cuts back to hold a bit of a defense. Skirt Reynolds right up the back of him, trying to keep going, and now that is Flo checking out that fight as Martin is forced to switch focus to his rearview mirror, as Skirt Reynolds is going back to back with him and fighting his way through. Nonetheless, going to really keep it on all the way through last 4 minutes of the race, and this is an opportune moment for third place in the Platinum class, keeping it nice and close. Everyone else has now tapered away from one another, so it's all opened up. Closest battle on track is running between our current second and third of our Platinum class, that is absolutely throwing the kitchen sink and the bathroom tub at one another to ensure that they can go for maximum points here. Reynolds in the All-American brute force machine, busy with a bit of heritage to it, going right at the Italian stallion of the Track Tool team. And that Lamborghini, oh no, contact with the two of them, and Martin keeps it out of the wall, engages gears. Martin Spritzer running into a bit of a problem. Skirt Reynolds now trying to get himself out of the sandbanks, has lost our time and spun round in the last couple of minutes. A huge upset between it all. Let's take a look at this, because that has now changed the entire landscape of our Platinum class. So Martin Spritzer kept it all clean, goes for the defensive, tries to close off a door, hits the brakes a little bit. Oh man, just that left front of Skirt Reynolds collecting the side. And that was pretty much that for their little battle. But that has now changed it all, as we've got Chris Wall, Flo Scub, and Torma Milani now up into the top spots for our Platinum class. And they have really just capitalized on an absolute knock. That was not going to be a good one. And unfortunately, that pushing out a little bit too far, I think there's going to be a few words in the pits. As we do see Glenn Smith trying to go defensive, sees Camille Hansen around the outside. He's going to have the advantage, going late on the anchors here. And we do see the Aston Martin into the dirt, off. And now Camille Hansen losing out that drive. Glenn Smith managing to just get on the anchors right before and was able to carry that momentum through. So he's done a brilliant job to keep it going, but not ideal running for the likes of Camille Hansen, who really tried just sending it in, but just couldn't get it all locked in. He's going to have to wait it out now as they make their way through. 1 minute 40 to go, and the track time is about 2 minutes that these drivers are going. So at the moment, they're having a great time out there. For some, others, not so much. Like Martin Spritzer, who's now got Hunter Foss onto the back of him. The big Bentley trying to make up some time, and I think it's going to have an advantage because it hasn't got a little bit of damage to it on trying to go and just keep it all together. He is well aware of this little corner and does allow the big Bentley of Hunter Foss to sneak on by. Tries to come back at him, and unfortunately just couldn't get it all tucked in as yet, but it does look like Hunter's run out wide. Going to go side by side once again. Hunzo trying everything to get the drive. Martin Spritzer losing out that front end and just not able to put the power down as much as he would like. That Lamborghini really leaning into the corners, just trying to bring it back from the brink. It's down in 20th position. Wants to try and reclaim as many positions as possible, but this is always a tough pill to swallow, knowing that you are in the race, and unfortunately a bit of contact throws you out of it. It's not even contact that you could control at that point, and you are now having to pick up the pieces of your race on the way through. 29 laps so far completed by our leader, as Peterson now making up a bit of drive, has really done a phenomenal job. He's onto the back of Scott Reynolds, 11 seconds to go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is race time done and dusted. Peterson now just needs to keep it all clean. He's 29 seconds clear of Darius at this point, doing a phenomenal job to take it end to end. Started off well and ran well. Darius in second place. Sean Skitter, David Scruton, Jens Nelson feeling the pressure of Jude Neville and Glenn Smith all on the back of him. Bill Jensen also putting his nose in for the fight, trying to make up some time as they fight it out, knowing that this is the last lap. This is make or break for them for the Nürburgring in the wet. Many are going to be saying farewell and thank heavens to avoiding this track. Others are going to be scratching their head, trying to figure out what went wrong or what went right, and how can they replicate that same effect to learn and grow from. Jens Nelson keeping the battle going, has got Jude Neville all over the back of him, ensuring he can stay in for the fight. It's going to be a hard chase for him all the way through, as Jude's trying to keep the pressure on and try and make up some time into the hairpin. And taking a look back towards our leader, as Christoph Peterson's going to be smiling ear to ear on this one, taking yet again another checkered flag, and will be going across the line. Our multiple champion taking first, with Darius in second place. Sean Skitter is fighting it out. David Schuton around the outside, trying to go back for him. This is for third place. Schuton has an opportunity here. If he can go for the full send, Sean Skitter has got to worry about it. And it's going to be a huge run for Sean at the moment. He's going to have to really dig deep on this little fight, as David tries to come back at him late on the anchors, in through the NGK chicane, and unfortunately bounces a little bit too much, gets a bit squirrely. Sean Skitter into the dirt. It's going to be a bit of a send. David sends it on the inside, runs him out a little bit wide. It's going to be on the power. Will the Honda be able to get, will the Corey be able to get a drive? No, it's going to be the Mustang straight lining it. David on the final corner gets the pass. Sean Skitter in fourth. Fifth is Jude Neville, with Jens Nelson not able to straight line the Merc. Glenn Smith taking 7th, 8th place Camille Hansen, Ryan Chell in 9th, 10th Nicholas Cora. He takes first for our gold, Ernest Lundberg's down in 11th. Chris Wall will be taking first of our platinum class. He's going to be smiling ear to ear on that one. And after a hard-fought fight, he's managed to pull it back. Sebastian Luxon, second of our golds, with Flo Scub going and just losing out to Stephen Milano James in a straight line. Stephen taking 14th, Flo taking 15th. 16th is Tomo Malami, along with Lewis Knight. Freddie Morelli landing up in the dirt with Hanzo Foss. No, this is right at the end. Hanzo Foss and Morelli landing up final corner. The two of them bit the dust. What on earth went on with Freddie Morelli? So this is what happened in the final corner, folks. In through the chicane. Freddie comes across the nose. Hanzo tries to throw it, everything he's got at it. Goes for the inside. Oh, spiked him in the back. Hanzo Foss into the back of Freddie Morelli. And that ended both their races. Oh man, that is just heartbreaking to say the least. Right at the end. And definitely not what we expected from that. But all in all, what a race. What a turn of events nonetheless. And drivers having to really work through some of the toughest racing they've had this season. The Nürburgring in the wet is nothing to sneeze about. And we did see a lot of drivers running into mechanical issues and also just some of the races not going their way. That being said, though, it does bring us to the end of our round 2, and we're going to be trying to get a bit of a chat to our drivers to get a bit of an insight of how their race went and what was their thoughts on some of the racing. So first, coming into the box, and we always talk about first into the box. I've got to give it up to Christoph to come and have a chat to us. So let's invite him.
Hello.
Hello, welcome, and how are you feeling after that?
Relieved. My whole body is sore because of the 4 hours yesterday. So I'm happy that I got it done and also that it went so perfect for me.
It was definitely some challenging conditions. What was the game plan when you got onto the track, just seeing how wet it was out there and how you needing to move forward?
I wanted to go long this time, which is a bit unusual for me. Usually I don't do that, but I knew I had quite a lot of pace in the car, and I wanted to balance it out a bit with Sean behind me because we were quite similar pace, and he had a penalty, so I didn't want to block him unnecessarily. Didn't really know how the pace gap would have been. But I think we did it well in the first stint and over the whole race pretty much. And also it was quite a good idea to go so long, and I think I will do that more often in the future, I think.
Well, let's talk about your race in terms of trying to make up some time through the back markers. Now, a very difficult situation. Obviously, as a cricket driver, you got to be aware of everyone else in their race as well, not wanting to cause any upsets, but obviously the conditions themselves doesn't lend it to some easy overtakes. You had to try and plan those overtakes well in advance. How was it coming through the field?
The endurance yesterday helped me a lot in that because, of course, over 4 hours you get a lot of practice in overtaking blue flags on this track. And in general, I feel like the Nürburgring is quite okay for that. A lot better than Zolder, of course. And yeah, in general, you have some pretty good spots to get by people, even if you're fighting for position. I think there are a lot of good overtaking spots. Yeah, so it went well. I don't think I ever had a problem with a blue flag.
Well, the championship is looking in your favor at the moment. Round 1 went well for you. Round 2 went well. Your thoughts of the championship at the moment? Are you feeling positive about it? Do you think that the race is still on? Do you feel that you've put yourself in a positive position considering Darius got that second place over Sean Skitter?
I'm definitely feeling the pressure. Round 1, after the race, I got a penalty, so I only got P4 in the end. And I think I have some really strong rivals out there that all will come back, especially when the success penalties really come into play. I think Limberg's also suffered a lot from his 15 seconds today. I don't know where he finished in the end, but he was really quick at the track yesterday already, so I bet he wasn't too far off from the top.
Limerick's actually had a rough one in the race. He landed up with a bit of a contact and he fell down to 11th position overall.
Oh, okay.
So he took a bit of a tumble, which does knock him down in the points a little bit compared to you.
Yeah, and I also heard that Muaf got a disconnect, I think. So then I guess I had a lot of luck today.
Well, it is a great one. Anything you would like to say to our amazing petrol heads out there that have been standing in this bucketing rain, going and supporting our amazing partners here at Evolution Racing Academy?
Yeah, thanks to everyone who worked in the background after the Zolder race. We had a lot of work in the stewarding team and in the admin team. There were some changes to the qualifying rules that were well thought out, I would say, and everything was a lot better today, in my opinion. Like, not only because I personally had a clean race, but I also felt like everything all around was a bit better. Yeah, and of course, thanks to everyone watching, thanks to everyone who watched yesterday, who participated also in the endurance race yesterday. The season is a lot of fun until, I think, or like, will be even more fun than it was after Zolder, or that it seemed like after Zolder, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the races.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Christoph Peterson, our multiple champion, now starting to get a little bit further in the championship. Glad to have you here and look forward to seeing what you can do in round 3. With that being said, we're going to bring up our second place, Darius, to come and have a chat to us. Cheerio, Chris. And let's bring up Darius to have a chat. Coming second place overall and second of our diamonds. Darius, phenomenal running out there. Bit of hard work to climb through it all, but it seems like you finally got to grips with that Nissan GTR.
Hey Stephen, yeah, it's a bit different from the ham-fisted attempt of doing a 6-sub out for you yesterday. Hope you're feeling better. It was a bit different. I mean, you've seen it in the Mercedes arena. The Nissan has no traction in the slow corners in the wet, so I can say I'm positively knackered after that race, because that basically took all of me. Keeping that car on track, keep getting it through the slow corners. It's fine in the dry around the Nürburgring, but in the wet, the Mercedes arena just leaves so much to be desired of the car. And honestly, I think it's the best I could have done. I mean, P1 was never in contention, so P2 is the best way I could have finished, and I'm quite happy with that.
And let's talk about the race, because you didn't have the simplest of races from start all the way to finish. It was getting caught up into odd battles here and there, having to fish your way through it, but also the car just not being on the right line the whole time. You had to work constantly offline in the marbles and trying to get through the puddles. Take us through the race.
Yeah, I mean, the start was okay for the Nissan, I think. The Nissan does not start very well, but I had the advantage of the Aston also not starting very well. Then I found myself on the outside of T2 and kind of tried to keep Hassan on the outside so I can go for a move into turn 4 on the inside. But that didn't work out for me because the Aston just has better traction. And then I just tried to, stick with the Hondas and the Aston, and knowing that Skitty and Hassan had a penalty. So I just tried to soldier through that and keep the gap as minimal as I could and, extend the gap to the cars behind. That's the only thing I could do. So it was just keep your head down, drive, don't spin.
Well, it worked well in your favor, and honestly, some great racing out there. Anything you would like to say to our amazing petrol heads that were standing out in the rain? I think they're absolutely soaked at this point, right down to the shoes, and our amazing partners that are with us here at ERA.
Yeah, I definitely have to rewatch the race, because just from what I saw in my rearview mirrors and from all the flags I saw, it had to be a lot of a nail biter in the middle field, but I didn't quite caught anything of that. I was just, driving. That's the only thing I was doing. So definitely thank you for broadcasting that. I will definitely rewatch that. And yeah, for all the other competitors, for those that worked out, well done. For those where it didn't work out, for example, Paul had a mare of a race again. That's unlucky. It's bad luck. Next one will be better. It's the only thing I can say.
Going and breaking and mounting, there's not much you can do with that one, but absolutely great stuff. Darius, thank you so much for coming to the commentary box. Well done on your second place. Absolutely
Thank you, Stephen.
Legendary stuff.
Thanks, Stephen. Have a good one.
You too. Oh, Darius coming having a chat to us. Now, let's talk to a driver that's in the police, but, well, the police Mustang. But what was done right at the end, you can only describe it as a stolen third place of note. This is a driver that gave hope to Sean Skitter to snatch it away with a bit of police brutality on the way. But my heavens, 0.1 of a second. Let's bring up David Shooten and talk to him. David, first of all, congratulations on the heist of a century right at the last. I'm sure not quite the plan to go elbow to elbow, knees to toe. It looked like you were at one point content where you were, and then all of a sudden, snap, you wanted to go for that third place, and you did everything for it. Take us through that moment that just, well, there's only way to say it. You snapped from being content to I want it.
Yeah, definitely. Like me and Sean were like basically on 3 seconds or something like this for the last 15 minutes. And sometimes I felt like I maybe could overtake him if I pushed a little bit harder, but every time I pushed more, I was just losing a little bit of time. And then at the end, he just went off, and I gained like 2 seconds on him. And then in like literally the last corner, he went off again, and I just went for it, and it was a bit aggressive probably, and he also was sliding, I think, a little bit, so we were touching a lot. But in the end, I think maybe by like a few meters, I had to like overtaken him to take the third place. So yeah, I'm really happy because this is my first podium overall, and it's really a redemption from last time, because the last time I had like through two drive-throughs and one stop and go, I think. So, and I was so mad. So yeah, I'm really happy now.
Incredible stuff. You know what? We always love seeing some really close racing at the end. They couldn't get any closer than that. I mean, there's an old saying, by hook or by crook, you'll go for it. And that's exactly what was done. I've got to say, incredible stuff. But your race wasn't the simplest to deal with. You were involved in quite a multitude of battles. Your earlier pit stop, compared to the rest of the field, how was it trying to make your way back up through the field after having that little bit of an earlier stop and seeing ahead of you guys aren't replicating that? Was there a bit of a, I've got something here, or was it a little bit of a worry?
I wasn't really sure because like my first stint, it was quite good. I overtook a few people, and then the second half of my first stint was actually not that good. So I was worrying, like Nicholas Correa was like gaining a little bit of time on me as well. So I thought, okay, I just took way too much out of my tires in the first stint. So I just go a little bit early and see what I can make out of it. And then my second stint was just really good, and honestly I didn't have many people that were like making me lose too much time, so I could gain a little bit of time, I think, on the people that were pitting later, and that probably helped me to get the podium in the end. So yeah, I think it was the right choice and probably my best race in era.
Well, absolute grand performance, and it's fantastic to see that little bit of a redemption arc coming in and get to see the police riding back on top. Anything you would like to say to our amazing petrol heads out there, to our amazing admins here at ERA, and our partners?
Yeah, thanks to everyone, thanks to all of the stewards. I don't know how many incidents there were, but they probably will be working a little bit on that again. and thanks to you, of course. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching this back, and it will probably be very lovely to watch back.
Oh, absolutely. It's an honor to be able to commentate on your first podium. Thank you for giving me that honor. And David, go and enjoy the celebrations. You earned it. Spray the champagne, go wild. Just don't be caught drinking and driving, otherwise the police are going to stop you.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, David. Oh, absolutely incredible stuff. Well, we've got a couple of more drivers to go through, and let's bring in 12th overall, but is happy with a first place in class. A driver that had a worst run in round 1, getting punted off by his own teammate, redemption arc. Chris Wall, congratulations. How are you feeling with that one?
Cheers, mate. Yeah. Oh man, unexpected is the word I'm going to use, and I've already said it in the chat. Qualifying didn't go to plan. Couldn't really get a lap in that I was happy with. Just haven't been feeling it today. I've basically been out all day and just hopped in the rig just before the race started. So yeah, it was last minute. I think I was like 7th in class in qualifying, and I think the other lads just had accidents and issues and problems through the race, and that really just enabled me to climb my way through. All I will say is I just tried to stay out of trouble, stay consistent, not fight battles that were sort of pointless, really. And yeah, I'm chuffed. Like, I wasn't expecting coming into this race weekend that I'd be on the podium, let alone on the top step of it. So I'm really chuffed with it.
Oh, it was incredible stuff, and getting to see how the whole fight went on, because your race wasn't, as we said to everyone, it wasn't very simple. You had to try and tactically look around at what's around you and the drivers that are around you. We did see a couple of cases where you did lift off the throttle to allow drivers through. Others you kept in the tow. Take us through the mentality that's needed to try and figure out who you're fighting with, who you're not fighting with.
So there's a bit of tactic with it. So drivers like Lucasen, I'll use him as an example. So he's really quick here. He's in a different class to me, so technically I shouldn't fight him, but what's the point in fighting him, because it's not for class position, and he can go ahead and start hassling drivers ahead of me and potentially slow them down. That's what happened at the end when him and Spitzer had a bit. They were running 203s because they were battling, and I was running 201s. So I was absolutely churning down the pace to them two, and I was confident I would have got to the back of them anyway. And then, for instance, like the diamond drivers, I didn't really have any. Like Lindbergh's, for example, let him go. There's no point. He might as well just go ahead and start. Again, get out of my way, basically, because I'm never going to be quicker than him based on his pace. So there was no point in battling him. So you just sort of make a judgment call at the time. What's going to benefit me in the long run? It's. You got to think of your class position. The overall position doesn't really count, but can I utilise other drivers to go and slow down drivers for me? And I tried to deploy that a little bit in this race.
Oh, absolutely incredible stuff. And Chris, I know after a long round 1 where you had to sit and try and work out with stewards and that, getting to see the racing on hand, anything you'd like to say to the admin team, the drivers, the teams, the absolute petrol heads that are just going and watching on, because I'm sure while you were driving, you saw them all sitting in the grandstands, all cheering on. It's something exciting to see.
Yeah, the growth that ERA's seen, especially in this season, cannot be misinterpreted to anything other than hard work behind the scenes by the admins, by Damien, who does a lot of the behind the scenes promotions, by the excellent coverage from obviously yourself and the lad who does server 2. I think without the standard of coverage that we give the drivers, we wouldn't attract the drivers we've got. The drivers themselves turn up, they give I was going to say good banter all throughout the week, but it's generally just a good place to come and hang out anyway, and it just makes the vibe on race day really good when you know the drivers that you're sort of driving around against. And yeah, just a big thank you to everyone that tunes into the stream, supports them in any way, participates in any part of the community, and obviously helps promote it and run it. So it's a big team sort of event, and everyone plays a part.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, go and enjoy the celebrations. You absolutely earned it. And, well, you had to be in it to win it. Congratulations, Chris Wall.
Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, moving on, we've got 2 more drivers to go through, and let's bring up our next driver.
And it's a driver that's had a little bit of a rough race out there. Flo Scub, welcome to the commentary box. Not quite what you expected in terms of a rainy Nürburgring, where it was a little bit of rough housing at the start. Seemed to have found your feet at the end, but just a bit off where you wanted to be.
Yeah, hey Stephen. Yeah, considering the pace I had in quali as well, the car just felt incredible here. I had massive confidence as well on this track. I've said it yesterday as well already for the Nürburgring race, the endurance race. I really like conditions like this, where it's not quite clear cut, where there's not a lot of grip and you have to find it a little bit, stuff like that. And yeah, it was really unfortunate. I haven't had a look at it really fully again, what happened in lap 1. I got tagged by, I think it was Musa, but from what I could see in my rearview mirror, I'm not sure. He probably got tagged by someone else as well. And yeah, that was just giga unfortunate, having to wait there in turn, I think 6 it is, and having to wait and watch everyone drive by, and you know, yeah, you're at the back of the grid now. It's just disheartening, but yeah, I tried to keep my my head down, and I tried to make the best of it, and it worked pretty well. I'm really happy.
Well, you went from 41st and picked yourself up to 15th position overall. I mean, that is a serious climb, despite everything that's gone on, and also limiting the amount of positional loss as well. Now, obviously, mentality comes in of wanting to just put your foot down and get back into the race as quick as possible. What was going through your mind at that point to just say, whoa, hit the brakes, don't send it into the grid right now. Let's rather just wait it out a little bit and then rejoin and just try and get your climb back in. I mean, you did have a few door contacts on your way through, trying to pick up the pace, trying to get back into the running, and it was not an easy time, but the mentality difference is not sending it into every corner. What's your thoughts to that?
Yeah, so my general, like, I know I was faster than, well, a lot of the people on the grid, right? Qualifying has shown that, and I knew that I was faster than a lot of the guys in my class as well. I was like, yeah, I don't need to be in the diamond drivers at the end. I just want to be as high up in platinum as I can be. And yeah, as I just saw the drivers rush through there, I was already, like, in my head, I was already, okay, do I pit now early, take fresh tires, and just take the fresh air? But in the end, I decided to try it at least a little bit, and it was a lot of fun battles out there for sure. There were a few rubbing doors as well, but it pretty sure felt like most of that was racing, but I'm gonna have a look through it anyways. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. The recovery drive as well, and yeah, it's not like I wasn't thinking if I can send it into every corner. I was trying to see, like, when I started to catching up to people again, I was trying to see, okay, I'm faster out of this corner, I'm better on the brakes or something like that. And I was just trying to set up the move still, without, like, completely sending it from 5 car length back, hoping they see me and hoping they jump out of the way. Because they don't have to jump out of the way at the end of the day. It's still a fight for position overall. So yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to accomplish, trying to think about.
Well, with the racing that's happened, a lot of stuff you're obviously going to be taking back to the pits, taking back to the team, and just going through the data, a lot of learning from it. Do you feel that this race was rather valuable in terms of a learning situation, considering in the championship you do have drop rounds that does give you a little bit of breathing room, but the overall experience is something you can't replace? Do you feel that you've learned quite a bit here and can adjust the car and the driving for later in the season?
Oh yeah, generally the learning of just being in a situation like this where you're like, okay, I'm at the back of the grid after lap 1, and just not giving up. You're just trying to get into the mentality of, hey, we might be at the back here right now, but we got this. We can get back up there. We can go up there, and just getting that confirmation as well with the result at the end. I have a feeling this was probably the best race I did in ERA so far. I had a lot of fun on the way, and I'm just very confident now. There's this big confidence boost knowing that I can bring the car from a really back of the grid position down to the front of the platinums again as well. That is, yeah, big confidence boost.
Well, it's definitely going to be a story for the three ducks to tell their parents. That is for certain. Anything you would like to say to your
Absolutely.
team,
to the drivers out there, the absolute amazing petrol heads that are watching, and also our amazing partners here at ERA?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to everyone who finished this race. It was a really tough one with the conditions again. Not having full wets, having a dry line, the tires being hot and stuff. Yeah. Thank you for everyone as well on my way back who made it a little bit easier, who like did not fully fight this. There were a few goals in there that basically didn't fully fight me as well. I think they realized as well at some point that, yeah, well, there's just a big pace difference. This is going to lose us both more time. But yeah, it still takes a lot of like a lot of greatness as a person to be like, okay, yeah, I don't need to fight everyone, right? So yeah, big thanks to those people as well, and big congratulations to everyone who's finished in the position they wanted to or higher than they wanted to. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you very much for commentating as well, Stephen. I'm looking forward to listening and watching that during the week.
Good luck. You might need a very big bottle. And Flo, thank you so much for joining us, and absolutely incredible stuff. Looking forward to seeing what you can do and the entire team can do coming round 3 next weekend. So,
Thank you very much.
Final driver to have a chat to us is going to be Lewis Knight to have a chat. And Lewis, welcome to the commentary box. What a race that you've had. There's some proper up and down moments, side by side, lots of door banging, lots of exciting moments, also drifting the car like there's no time. That angry weasel was definitely
Could
a
not
handful.
help that. Surprisingly could not help that. Was trying not to, but the Nissan was not happy with me today and wanted to kick her rear out a lot. No, I'm happy, especially after what happened at Zolder. With my abysmal race there, to be able to put the Nissan in top 3 today.
And it's going to be an incredible thing of, well, trying to take moments out of this race. I mean, let's go back to the start. 41 cars, turn 1, Nürburgring. Was it butterflies in the stomach? Was it thought I'm going to make it? Or was there you've now committed yourself and you've accepted the fate? Or what was it being in the middle of that grid and just seeing cars and spray and not being able to see the corners?
It was very much, for me anyway, I know the two guys who I had ahead of me, which was Skirt and Chris into turn 1, it was very much look for the gap with them two, stick with them. You know, if I get tagged from, I'm only going to get tagged from behind. I know the Nissan can take a bit of damage to the rear. Unfortunately, you know, I did get tagged on the rear, but wasn't enough to kind of put the Nissan out of action. And then it was just a matter of just kind of, for the first couple laps, finding my place, see who was around me, and then just slot in. You know, don't really want to deal with anyone in the first couple laps, especially with the cold, like the freezing cold tires we had. Not fun.
It was definitely a difficult condition, but I mean the climb. Let's go with that. Is you've had some proper fights in your racing career for some racing. This race really you had to pull a few different tricks out of the box to just try and figure out how to get past your competitors, having to try and bait moves, trying to see where you can get past some of the drivers, other drivers making it a little bit more difficult. Do you feel that a lot has been learned from this?
It definitely. I mean, a lot of my race, I was lucky enough to kind of just keep out of trouble. So a lot of my positions were from other people, you know, making mistakes or being caught out, and unfortunately that happens in racing. The odd overtakes that I did manage to get were very much like spur of the moment. I've got to go for this now. The one on Merley that I had later on in the race was very much, I've got the overspeed, I've just got to go for it, because if I don't, I'm going to be stuck behind him. And if I'm stuck behind him out of the Mercedes arena, I know the Nissan isn't good there. I had to make it happen before the Merc arena, but definitely a lot has been learned. As I'm sure Flo's quite happy with me letting him go the few times he came up on me. I was not going to mess around with a guy that's, you know, classes up on me. He's got his own race to run, I've got my own race to run, and if I held him up, I'm losing pace to the golds ahead of me, and Flo's losing pace to the I think Flo's platinum. He's losing pace to those guys, so it wasn't, you know, what wasn't worth holding him up was worth just letting him go, letting him run his race, and then letting me run mine.
Oh, absolutely incredible stuff. Well, we're going to say goodbye to Nürburgring and the wet.
which is obviously a big
Yes.
smile on your face. But we're going
It
to
is
be
a
moving.
very big smile on my face.
We're going to be moving to Mount Panorama in the dusk. Are you feeling confident,
Yes.
considering
Oh,
round
yeah.
1 was a little
yeah.
bit tricky, round 2 was even more, and now Mount Panorama, visibility is
next-
going to be difficult.
The next 2 tracks are 2 tracks I love. I love Pano and I love Suzuka. I've got full faith in a lot of these guys that they know how to drive up and down the mountain by now and know when it's safe to try and do something stupid. I'm gonna have to basically sweat to put some time into it to really make sure I'm happy with the Nissan up and down the hill.
Well, try and reclaim some of that PlayStation glory, that final lap dart to go win the Mount Panorama race of old.
Yeah.
But absolutely incredible stuff. Anything you'd like to say to our amazing drivers, teams, our partners here at ERA, our admins that are, well, like yourself, not going to have too much sleep with going forward, just trying to sort bits and bobs out, and just thoughts of what's happening next in the season, because it's getting closer and closer to scoring maximum points and then start focusing on what you need to do to secure your position.
Yeah, next 2 races are just going to be pushes. I've just got to try and do what I can to get them. Obviously, big thanks to yourself, Stephen. I know you wasn't well recently, so I hope you're feeling a lot better, mate. Admins, stewards, you guys had your work cut out at Zolder. I know. I know for a fact you guys had your work cut out, but I am forever grateful for the amount of work that those guys do put in. They really do work way more than they should do. And for nothing, they do it for the sake of, the guys want to race, so they make sure that everything is done properly, penalties go out. So yeah, I can't thank Era enough for the opportunity that the guys give, not only for myself, but also for the new drivers. They really do. Everyone in the team works their absolute socks off.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Lewis Knight, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations with Angry Beaver, or the Angry Weasel, because it just kept going all over the show.
Did you see the thing on the wing for you, Stephen?
I did, and I even saw the name at the bottom. I love it, absolutely love it.
Thought you might appreciate that.
You know what? That's one thing I could say. The liveries are getting fantastic because there's always little quirks to every single car. It's always fantastic to see how it's just something that talks about the drivers, the personalities are behind it, and it pushes people to do a bit more. At least it wasn't Christian's way of just make every Lamborghini look the same and just change colours of bits and pieces. But
that's it. That's the team livery, so theirs are all the same. There's also the Pirelli board on the front of the Nissan now, stuck to the front quarter panel.
Oh, at least it's in the right place.
It's from Zolder. I picked up a Pirelli board at Zolder and carried it halfway around the track, so I stuck it to the car.
There we go. It's taped on and forever will be part of the car.
It is.
There we go.
It is.
Absolutely great stuff. Lewis, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And we look for an incredible time heading next week.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that does bring us to the end of our broadcast here in Server 1. It has been a huge amount of fun. Massive congratulations to the drivers, the teams, for all of you, the spectators, going and tuning in, being a part of the show, and all the amazing efforts that have been put in it. Next week, though, we're going to be heading out to Mount Panorama in the dusk. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a hard-won fight, and it's going to be a challenging time for our drivers charging up and down through the mountain. So make sure that you are there to see all the racing action, brought to you by the Evolution Racing Academy. And from myself, Stephen Koenig of THC Productions, we'd like to say thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, leave a like as well, and also tune in to Server 2. Lots of fun happens out there, and my co-commentator tends to have a huge amount of fun talking about some of the races and all the different stories. He actually got a multitude of stories that he's able to tell, and it's always something I'm kind of jealous, I won't lie, because he gets the lowdown on what's happening in the teams. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, like always, make sure you go and hit that subscribe. And I would like to say a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.